Welcome middle school algebra students to lesson 5.1.1. How can I change it to y equals mx plus b form? Working with multivariable equations. So far in this course, you've used your equation mat and or symbols to find solutions for all types of linear equations with one variable. Today you will learn how to apply these skills to solving linear equations with two variables. As you work today, keep these questions in mind. What is the solution to an equation? What does it look like? What is the growth pattern? And what is the y-intercept? We are going to start on problem 5-2, changing forms. You can find the growth rate and starting value for y equals 4x plus 5 quickly because the equation is in y equals mx plus b form. The growth rate, as a reminder, is 4, and the starting value is positive 5. But what if the equation is in a different form? Explore this situation below. 5.2a. The line negative 6x plus 2y equals 10 is written in standard form, not y equals mx plus b form. Can you tell what the growth of the line is? Its y-intercept? Pause the video right now and take a minute to try to predict these values. Letter B. The equation negative 6x plus 2y equals 10 is shown on the equation mat at the right. Set up this equation on your equation mat using tiles. Using only legal moves that we've talked about in previous chapters, rearrange the tiles to get y by itself on the left side of the mat. Record each of your moves algebraically. Right now, open up the 5-2b Student E-tool from your ebook. That will help you as the equation mat will already be set up for you. So work through letter B using your legal moves to get y by itself. Record your moves algebraically. And then try to answer letter C. You'll use your result from part B then to find the growth pattern and the y-intercept of the line negative 6x plus 2y equals 10. And then reflect, did your result match your prediction from part A? Here is the E-tool. And now I'm going to rearrange my tiles to get y by itself on the left side of the equation mat. So the starting equation is negative 6x plus 2y equals 10. First, what I'm going to do is I want to just see these tiles all in the positive region. So I am going to start first by just flipping these tiles to the positive region. This is just another way of showing negative 6x plus 2y equals 10. All right, now if I want to get a y tile by itself, the first thing that I'm going to need to do is eliminate the negative 6x tiles from the left side. I am going to do that by adding 6x tiles to the left side. And remember, whatever I do to the left side of an equation mat, I must also do to the right side. So I added 6x to the left. I must also add 6x to the right. Just condensing these unit tiles here to put them a little closer together. Okay, now I'm going to add my 6x tiles to the right side as well. So let's write down this algebraic step here on our paper. So I just added 6x tiles to both sides of the equation mat. So now on the left side of the equation mat here, I have 6 zero pairs right here because a negative x and a positive x equals 0. So I can remove those tiles because they equal 0. So now on the left side, I am just left with 2 y tiles And on the right-hand side, I am left with 6 x tiles and 10 unit tiles. It does not matter if you write it 6x plus 10 or if you write it 10 plus 6x. It doesn't matter. Now I want to know what 1y equals. So I am going to take my 2y tiles and I am going to divide them into 2 piles. Well, what I'm going to do now is take my unit tiles and also divide my unit tiles into 2 piles. And I am also going to divide my x tiles into 2 piles. Okay, so I'll do that now. Let's move these out of the way here. All right, so I'm going to divide up my unit tiles. 1 tile to each y tile until they're all gone, until they're all divided. All right, and I can see here now, when I divide up my unit tiles that there are 5 unit tiles for each y tile. And then if I divide up my x tiles, I can see that there are 3 x tiles per y tile. So what I just did was I divided all of the terms into 2 separate piles. And that leaves me with 1y or y is equal to 3 x tiles and 5 unit tiles. So in other words, the equation negative 6x plus 2y equals 10 is the same as y equals 3x plus 5 when the equation is written in y equals mx plus b form. And what this tells me is that the growth in this equation is positive 3, and the starting value, or the y-intercept, is positive 5. All right, let's move into problem 5-3. It says your teacher will assign you to one of the linear equations listed below. We're actually going to do letters A through D together. For your equation, okay, you're going to use the algebra tiles with the equation mat e-tool to set up the equation on your equation mat. So you'll want to log into your ebook, click on e-tools, open up an equation mat, and open the algebra tiles. Then, using only legal moves, rearrange your tiles to create an equation that starts with y equals. Be sure to record all of your moves algebraically and be prepared to share your steps with the class. And then last, what is the pattern of growth for your line and what is the y-intercept and how can you tell? First, make sure that your equation mat is set up like this. We have 2x plus y is equal to 3x minus 7. Okay. Now we are going to use our legal moves to get the equation to say y equals. Okay. So when I look at this equation mat, the first thing that I realize that I can do as a legal move is I can remove 2 x's from both sides of the equation mat. So I can remove 2 from the left and 2 from the right. Let's show that by writing the algebraic steps on our paper. So what I did was I subtracted 2x from the left and subtracted 2x from the right. That leaves me with no x's on the left and just y equals 3x minus 2x is 1x minus 7. And here, now I have an equation written in y equals mx plus b form. So now I know that the growth is 1 and the starting value, or the y-intercept, okay, is negative 7. I can tell because 1 is in place of the m in y equals mx plus b, and negative 7 is in place of the b in y equals mx plus b. Now let's take a look at equation b. Pause the video now and build this equation. X plus 2y equals 3x plus 4 on your equation mat. And if you can, use your legal simplification moves to get y by itself. All right, first double check that your equation mat is set up like this. So we have x plus 2y equals 3x plus 4. Now let's work to get the y tile by itself on the left side of the equation. So the first legal move that I see that I can do here is I can remove an x from the left and from the right. Let's show that work here. So now I'm going to subtract an x from the left, subtract an x from the right, and I am left with, on the left, just 2 y tiles, and on the right, I'm left with 2x plus 4. Now, we want to know what y equals, not what 2y equals. So next, what I will do is I will take the 2 y tiles, and I will divide them into piles of 1. Now, what I'll do on the right side is divide the x tiles into piles of 1 and also my unit tiles into piles of 1. So now what I can see here is if I divide everything between the 2 y tiles, I see here that 1y is equal to 1x or x plus 2. Now I have an equation written in y equals mx plus b form. And now from this equation I can tell you that the growth is positive 1 and the starting value or the y-intercept is positive 2. When I take my equation and I write it into y equals mx plus b form, I am very quickly able to tell what the growth in the pattern is and what the starting value or the y-intercept is. That is the value of writing an equation where you have it set to y equals. Now let's take a look at problem 5-3C. Pause the video now and set up your equation mat so that it reads 3y plus 2 is equal to 2y minus 5x. All right, check to make sure that your equation mat looks like this. 3y plus 2 equals 2y minus 5x or negative 5x. All right, we want to get this equation so that it reads y equals. So I'm going to use my legal simplification moves. So first here I can see that I can remove 2 y tiles from the left and I can remove 2 y tiles from the right. Let's do that now. So I subtract 2y from the left, I subtract 2y from the right, and I am left with y plus 2 equals, no y's on the right, just negative 5x tiles. Now, I'm very close to having y by itself on the left side of the equation, but I'm not quite there yet. As I can see here, I have 2 positive unit tiles. So I want to get rid of those, so I have the y by itself. And the only way that I can get rid of those is by adding 2 negative tiles to the left side to make 0 pairs. And remember, if I add 2 negative unit tiles to the left, I must add 2 negative unit tiles to the right. So let's write down that step. I added 2 negative tiles to the left and 2 negative tiles to the right. And let's see what we're left with now. On my algebra mat, I can remove these 0 pairs. So on the left side now, I am just left with y equals, and on the right hand side I have negative 5x tiles and negative 2 unit tiles. So now the equation reads y equals negative 5x minus 2. Okay? This equation is in y equals mx plus b form. So now I know that the growth or the m value is negative 5. And the starting value, or the y-intercept, is negative 2. Okay. Next, let's move on to letter D. All right, here's problem 5-3D. Okay. This problem reads 2 times y minus 3 is equal to 2x minus 6. So build your equation mat now so that your equation mat looks like this equation here. Pause the video and until you're ready. All right, here's what my equation mat looks like for this equation. The equation says 2 times y minus 3. So here I have a y tile and 3 negative tiles. And I repeat that 2 times. Once, twice. And on the right-hand side, I have 2x minus 6 or negative 6. Okay. Keep in mind now that this equation is the same as 2y and 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So the left side of my equation mat says 2y and minus 6. So we can distribute that 2 inside the parentheses. And on the right-hand side here, we just have 2x minus 6. Okay. Now I'm going to use my legal moves to simplify this because I want to get y by itself on the left side of the equation. So what I notice that I can do here is I can remove 6 negative tiles from the left, and I can remove 6 negative unit tiles from the right. All right, now I am left with, when I removed negative 6 tiles from both sides, now I am left with just 2y equals 2x. Okay, now I want to know what 1y equals. So I am going to take these 2y tiles and I'm going to divide them in piles of 1. And now I'll take my x tiles and I'll also divide them among the 2 piles. So when I divide both sides of this equation by 2, I am left with 1y or y is equal to 1x. All right, now we're asked what is the growth in this pattern and what is the y-intercept or the starting value? Well, here I can see that the equation is written in y equals mx plus b form, but what I can see here is there are no unit tiles. So remember, this is the same as plus 0. So the growth is the number in place of the m, which is positive 1, and the y-intercept is the number in place of the b. And in this case, it is 0 because there are 0 unit tiles. So the growth of this pattern is 1, and the y-intercept is 0. All right, that wraps up our classwork or our notes for today. Just a reminder that your math notes box is in your ebook or in your textbook, and it reviews linear equations. It gives us the definition, it reminds us what standard form is, what y equals mx plus b form is as well, and how we find the growth or the y-intercept from the equation. All right, your homework for tonight is on page 190, and it's problems 5.5, 5.6, and 5.8 only. Have a wonderful rest of your night.